Hello and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts and ideas to help grow healthy, happy, successful families that are both inside.
And outside the box. If you like the show, be sure to follow Christina on Facebook.
And please leave us a like review on your favorite podcast platform.
Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Connor Hebel. Connor is the founder of Amelia Island Microgreens, created when he was 14 years old to overcome chronic pain by letting food be thy medicine. With over a decade of growing experience, he created a kit to help others grow microgreens at home. His company has been featured in Forbes and Entrepreneur, won a FedEx grant, and supports schools through a buy one, give one program. Connor is also the author of Let's Get Growing and the upcoming The 4% Edge. So welcome, Connor. It is a pleasure to have you here. Microgreens is something I've kind of been interested in, so I'm really looking forward to this. How did you get in? It says that you had some chronic pain, but how did you find microgreens and how did you decide to go that route?
That is a really great question. And first of all, thank you for having me on. I am super excited for this. So I started growing microgreens because my whole life I've had genetic health challenges. And when I was 7, it got to be to the point where I couldn't get out the door. I couldn't go to school. I was in medical homebound. I went to the doctor and they did a thermography scan, which showed that I had more inflammation than any adult they had seen. And I was 7. I knew that I had to do something. So what do you do? A lot of my friends went the holistic medicine, went the Western medicine route, but we decided to go the holistic side and let food be thy medicine. That's when I found microgreens, and they really became something that helped me heal because they're more nutrient dense than your mature vegetables, and they're super healthy for you. And so to be able to have something that was fresh and live, I really think I know it made a huge difference in me. And within 8 months, I went back, got another thermography scan, and it was like night and day. It was so much better. And so it's really powerful when you start eating and growing your own food, what that difference can make. So fast forward to COVID, I was feeling better and I saw that the world wasn't. And that's when I decided to use my then 7 years of microgreen growing experience to teach people how to grow their own food.
So one more quick question before you jump in.
Okay.
So for our audience who doesn't necessarily know, what are microgreens and what kind of plants do you grow for microgreens? So let's just kind of
exactly was my question.
Oh, perfect.
Great minds think alike. So microgreens are the stage right after a sprout. So you have the seed, then you have the sprout, and then you have the microgreen. And the reason why microgreens are gaining such attraction right now is because they are 40 times more nutrient dense than your mature vegetables. So if you think of having a head of broccoli versus having a head of microgreens, a handful of microgreens is going to be so much better for you. And they're fresh, live, and it's completely clean. You get to decide what goes on it. So it's pesticide free, organic, heirloom, non-GMO. And they take 7 days to grow, which means that anyone can grow them, even young kids. So they're really great for teaching kids how to take care of something and how to grow their own food.
So can any vegetable be a microgreen?
That's a great question. So yes, as long as the stem of it is not poisonous. So your nightshades, like your potatoes or tomatoes, those have poisonous stems, so you don't want to use those. However, you can be growing broccoli, kale, collards, cabbage. There's one of my favorites is wasabi microgreens. It's nice and spicy. It's real wasabi. A lot of people in America haven't had real wasabi before. This is real wasabi. There's also like cantaloupe and watermelon. You can grow all sorts of vegetables and fruits as microgreens.
Wow, that might be really interesting because I am not a green person. I don't usually like broccoli and all those kinds of things, but they can be grown as a microgreen and taste a little bit different. I might actually be able to eat them.
100%. And because they're so nutrient dense, they do taste different than our traditional vegetables. They have more of a vibrant taste to them. As well, so you know how some people taste cilantro and it tastes like soap to them? There's like a genetic thing there. In microgreens, if you grow microgreen cilantro, there's a chance that those type of people will be able to eat cilantro and it tastes good. So sometimes it's just how it's grown. So for sure, it would be good. You can also hide it and stuff a lot easier, like in smoothies, sandwiches. You can even dehydrate it or freeze dry it and put it as like a finishing salt. Put it in with
So
some salts.
Wow.
do microgreens taste the same as the fully developed plant? So for instance, I know that garlic does because I have like broken off the little tops of my garlic plants and I've eaten them and it's like, why don't we put this in the food? Why do we
Right.
wait
Delicates.
for so
Yeah.
long until we get these dried bits? Because I started just like chopping off the green tops of my garlic plants.
Yeah.
So I started eating lots of things in my garden that weren't necessarily typical the way to eat them. So
That's awesome.
I
I
know
love
garlic does, but do the others, for instance, like Christina said, she doesn't
Broccoli.
necessarily like the taste of broccoli. Does a broccoli microgreen still taste like broccoli?
It does, and it tastes a little different. So it has that same broccoli taste, but sometimes it'll be a little bit of a more mellow or more louder flavor. So it just kind of depends upon each microgreen. So for broccoli, I would say it's about the same, but it's in a smaller form. So it may not be the best one. I would suggest maybe more like a kale or collard. For example, with kale, I find that kale can kind of be bitter in its mature stage. I find that in microgreens, it's very tender, mellow. I don't really taste it. It's not that bitter taste. So a lot of the bitterness or the stuff that may not taste as great will be different in microgreens. So it's kind of one of those things that's kind of, I would suggest experimenting and trying it differently because it will taste different for everyone.
Excellent. So you were talking about how these are easily either hidden or kind of incorporated in so kids get their, fruits and veggies a little bit easier. Help our parents though, how to get parents started. And then also like if they wanted to introduce it to their kids, what would be a first step?
Yeah, so let me share a story first that really encapsulates how important growing microgreens with your kids is. So when I first started Amelia Island Microgreens, I was 14 and it was right in the middle of COVID, and we had set up a little booth, and this kid came over who had no interest in any fruits or vegetables, none, was only eating chicken nuggets, and hamburgers. That was it, nothing else. And he came over and he saw the microgreens and he was really curious about growing them, like how to take something that was a seed and grow it into a vegetable. And so his mom got him the kit and he started growing them more for fun. He was like, I am not going to eat these microgreens. Very clear. Started growing the microgreens. And because he was growing his microgreens, he started to want to eat them because he felt that ownership and that pride that I grew this. When kids grow their own vegetables, they are significantly more likely to eat it. So then he started eating his microgreens, which is really huge because this kid was like, I am not eating any vegetables at all. Started growing and eating them, then started eating vegetables. So I highly recommend getting your kids in the garden, or even better, growing microgreens because it takes only 7 days. So it helps with their short attention span, gets them where they're able to grow a plant, as well as having it right on the kitchen countertop. You don't have to go outside, don't have to worry about weeding or bugs. So it's really incredible for kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just thinking about being a kid, it's like I tasted everything and I never grew out of that. So there are times where I'm walking through the forest and it's like, oh, I wonder what this tree tastes like. Because I'll see the little bit of the green growing right at the edge. And I'm like, I watched this show where it's like if you're like stuck in the woods, you could get a little bit of vitamin C. And so I would like taste things and eat things. So yeah, if kids are thinking, oh, that's gross, I don't want to eat that, but then they're suddenly growing it and they're having their hands in it, then every once in a while they're going, oh, I wonder what this tastes like, and put it in their mouth because they're kids and they can't help it. And they
Yes.
might not like it, but then they'll do it again and then they'll do it again. And eventually they're going to start eating it because they're playing with it and it's their hands. And so, yeah, I can absolutely see all sorts of brain science and just human kind of the way we go about things going into all of that. So that was a
100%.
great story and a way to incorporate that.
Yeah. And it's so cool because not only do you get your kids eating vegetables, you're also teaching them science about how a plant starts to grow, about how it gets its sunlight. And when you're able to start incorporating it as a homeschooling or an extracurricular activity, it really helps. And that's one of the reasons why I am in the process of starting the Let's Get Growing Youth Foundation to get kids in schools to be able to grow microgreens and be able to learn how to do it right in school.
Okay,
That
so
is cool.
kids make big messes and they turn little things into big spaces. So for the parents out there whose kids like, oh, I want to get into microgreen, how much space is it going to take up? How much time is it going to take up? Because one of the reasons I didn't want to get involved is like, oh, this is going to be a mess. This is going to be too much. And I'm going to want to do it, but it's going to get neglected.
Or we're
So,
thinking about families in apartments, right? So
so how much space does it take up? What's the smallest you can go? How big can you go? And how much time does it take?
So that is all a great question. And the first thing I'll say is you may not have a green thumb, but you have a microgreen thumb. As long as you can keep a plant alive for 7 days, you can grow this. I have a succulent graveyard. I'm going to be completely honest. I have a succulent graveyard and I can grow microgreens. So as far as the size, so this is the kit that I have. So it's not too big. And you can see on the picture, this is what microgreens look like when you grow them. And this is about as big as you really need it. So in here, you'll see you have your tray. So this is what you grow your microgreens on. I'll take everything else out. So you can see this is as big as it gets, just this size. So you can put this on your kitchen countertop, on your kitchen table. If you have an RV, we have people who grow them in RVs. And the cool thing is once you get to about day 5, if you were to turn it upside down like that, the microgreens would all stay in there. So it won't get all messy after that time, and it's really incredible. So what you do is you get your soil like this, and you would hydrate it, and it'll become the soil. So it'll get a little messy, so just be prepared for that when you have kids. And once it's hydrated, you go ahead and you put it across your tray. And this is where that's where it's messy, but the kids absolutely love it. Then you take your seed packet like this. And on here, we have a little QR code that takes you to a video on how to grow microgreens. So if you get confused, you can always go to that. Spread it all across here and get it as evenly as you can. Then you take your spray bottle, mist it along there, and then you just put it in a cool, dark space, put some tin foil on it, just so that it's simulating germination, which is another cool thing you can teach kids about how plants grow. So it's super simple. I believe that all kids can do it. And it also helps them when they're getting used to the mobility of their hands, learning how to spray water, put seeds on evenly, get their hands in soil. So I think it's super incredible for kids to grow them. I know when I started when I was 7, to be able to grow microgreens really helped me because I was at a point where I wasn't feeling well. So getting outside was really hard. And so to have something that I could cultivate in that state really helped. And especially to learn how to grow my own food and to be able to experience that joy because it's sad how little kids get to experience that.
that is amazing. And exactly. So what I hear you say is, kids as young as 5 with a lot of help, 7,
Mhm.
pretty independent, and then on up, they can go for it on their own.
100%.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. And when because we sometimes work with families who have kids who are disabled, who are medically fragile, those kinds of things. So giving them something, like you said, that they can take ownership of, they can get to easily, and they can help grow and see the life happening, just kind of bring a little bit of joy, a little bit of spark back to them. So that is
100%.
a great ulterior motive for
Yes.
growing your microgreens, right? Just helping them live.
And there have been a lot, there have been statistics showing that when you have something growing in your house, your mood improves and your stress level goes down. And it's the same with microgreens too. So it's really powerful.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I was like the textures and stuff. So you grow a set of greens, you harvest your greens. Do they come back a second time? Is it like you harvest it once and then you have to start over?
Yes.
How much do they get out of
The kit.
out of a grow? How often do they have to start over?
That is a great question. So with your grows, you'll only be able to harvest it once. If it does come back, you won't be getting any nutrition because the nutrition comes from the seed itself. So think of a chicken and an egg. The egg's more nutrient dense because it has to grow a whole chicken. Same with your seed. It's going to have to grow a whole plant. So you're getting that nutrition from that seed. And so if it did regrow again, it wouldn't be super nutrient dense. So what you do is you lift up the soil. It'll have the soil and the roots. If you have chickens, you can go ahead and give them the root carpet is what it's called, the soil and the roots, and then clean out your tray. You can also throw it away or compost it, and then clean it out and start again. And the great thing about starting again is then you get a different variety of microgreens. We have over 11 different varieties of microgreens, and so you have so many different options to choose from.
That is wonderful. Awesome. And actually, I want to jump back to the beginning of your story a little bit because you said that you were very sick and you were homebound basically, right? And that you had to basically probably like do school from home and things like that. And
Yeah.
so is that where you decided to do a little bit more research and stuff about the microgreens, or was it because of the holistic medicine? Well, how did that go? Were you interested?
Yeah, how
Or
did you
it,
find out about the
yeah.
microgreens? Was it you're like, oh, parents found out about it? Were you researching it? And then it was like microgreens. Why would I want to
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah. So I was at a farmer's market and I saw microgreens and I was really interested in what they were. So we ended up doing a class that taught us how to grow the microgreens, which was really cool. And I noticed that the tray it wasn't as good as mine. It was more flimsy. And I was like, I want to do something better than this. So that's one of the reasons why I created a kit that was really specific, is so that I make sure that I get all the things that really I wished I had when I started, that will reduce mold and all of that type of stuff. So I was growing the microgreens with this group, and it was really cool to see the potential of what I could do, and to be able to grow them was so huge. So it was a little bit of research and then a little bit of finding the right people.
So how was it? I mean, that just sounds so interesting that your school group, your learning group,
Mhm.
followed your interest and is like, hey, I heard about this microgreen stuff. And so your class pivoted and learned about it and grew it as a class for part of your learning. So
Yeah,
I'm that is awesome. That is what we are actually trying to help people with. And so,
that's awesome.
so that you just kind of like throwing that in there is kind of like that if you want that for your children and you don't know how to get that, that's kind of what we do. We kind of help people get to that
Yeah.
bit of,
That is awesome.
and so that you just are throwing that out there like, oh yeah, I just did that. Like that's not one of the most incredible things that you could have possibly had an experience from your education.
100%.
Brilliant. So congratulations on that. And then you
Yeah.
got to take it into a business building activity again.
Yep.
Well done. So many kids don't get any opportunities like that. So you took your nutrition and you took your business and now you're spreading it out to help other kids. It's like that's brilliant. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and thank you. And that's a really good addition as well. Once kids start growing their microgreens, if they feel like they're an entrepreneur, growing and selling microgreens is a really good business because people want microgreens. You can go into restaurants, you can sell to customers. There's so many people who want what you would be
Farmers
selling.
markets.
Exactly, farmers markets. And so
Farmers
it's
markets
really
with
a
the
great
kids
way to
sitting in there
teach.
saying, I grew this. They're gonna, they're gonna sell
Yeah,
out like right now.
100%.
Instead of a
Yes.
lemonade stand, because you do
Mhm.
a microgreen stand out on the corner.
Yeah. Definitely. And there's such a good profit margin there that I would highly recommend any kids wanting to learn entrepreneurship to grow microgreens.
Yeah. Excellent. Perfect. So you are on a mission kind of now about getting this into schools and things like that, or maybe even homeschools, all those kinds of things. What kind of is your plan? Is this podcast part of that plan to get into those areas, or what else are you doing to kind of bring this forward?
That's a great question. So, this is one of the ways that I'm spreading awareness of growing microgreens, whether it's growing them with a DIY kit, whether it's growing them with a structured kit. Just being able to grow microgreens with your kit, it's so important because it teaches them to be able to care for something. A lot of people think of like dogs and cats to care for something. This is something simple. It also teaches them how to grow their own food, which is something that we've kind of lost over the years. And
And how
so
much
to
of
be
this
able
is
to,
in your book? I see your book kind of
yeah.
behind you over your corner there.
Yeah.
So this is my book on teen entrepreneurship. So it has both growing microgreens and entrepreneurship. So it's everything I learned in my 6 years of having a business.
So what is the
Perfect.
age group that's targeted for?
So I would say from like 10 up, and it's for everyone. It's not just for teens. And it's really great because it helps you move into that state of being able to grow and expand. I had a friend who had really a hard time reading books. And he was like, I'm gonna buy it. I'll see if I can read it. Started reading it, and then all of a sudden he was reading until 1 a.m. And he was like, I don't tell people this. I won't tell people this. He's a pastor, and he said, I cut my devotion time in the morning short so I could finish reading your book.
Nice.
That's everything that I started with. It talks about my story. It goes more in depth on how I got into microgreens, as well as how to really start and run your business. So it's really great for teens ready to start growing their business.
Excellent, Connor. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. So we need you to make sure that you get to our audience right now. How do they get a hold of you, or how do they follow you so they can get their microgreens, so they can follow your journey and show support, all that kind of stuff?
So the best way, the most easiest way to get a hold of me is go to your phone and take it out and text the word microgreens to 26786. That's microgreens to 26786. And what you'll get there is my free microgreen masterclass that'll take you from microgreen beginner to microgreen grower. So it'll help you understand, you and your kids, how to grow microgreens easily and effortlessly. And then you can also go to my website, ameliaislandmicrogreens.com/101, and that also will take you to my website as well. And then from there, if you go on YouTube, you'll be able to see me, Amelia Island Microgreens, and any other social platforms.
Excellent. That is so wonderful.
All of
Awesome.
that will be in our show notes, so you don't have to remember it. But we did want you to say it
out
so
loud.
that if people were driving, they might be able to take notes or write it down if they can't get to the show.
That's a good idea.
Exactly. Awesome, Connor. Is there something that we didn't get to today that you would really like to get to? We have about 2 minutes left. I want to make sure that we end on a upbeat note and a positive message.
One of the biggest things that is more on the entrepreneurship side, and I believe is really important for every kid to know, is that you belong in every room. That's something that I learned when I was moving into the entrepreneurial side. And there are times where you feel like, do I belong in this space? Whether it's going to school, whether it's going to somewhere that you've never been before, remember that you belong in every room.
Oh, that is a great message. Thank you so very, very much. Connor, it has been a pleasure having you on our show today. And I really hope parents are listening and paying attention, because here's another wonderful way to get good nutrition into those kiddos so they aren't just eating those chicken nuggets. Let's get them some good, healthy food so they can learn and grow.
And I would like to thank you for being here today, because you had a problem that was making you sick. It was your dragon, and you went out and you fought your dragon. You found a solution, and then you came back home and you started sharing that with the community. So that is the hero's journey. You went out, you found a problem, you solved it, you came back and you shared it. So many people just, oh, there's a problem, and they crumble, and you've made a life out of it. So congratulations on your hero's journey. It's
Thank you.
to watch.
And thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and it's so amazing to see what you're doing with educating kids and educating youth. It's so important. So thank you for having me on.
You are very welcome. All right, audience, you know what to do. It is the end of our show. So it's time for you to subscribe, like, and share this podcast. Make sure you're getting out to all those other families who need our help to raise happy, healthy, and successful kids. Until later, bye for now.
Bye for now.
Hello, and welcome to Bringing Education Home. I'm Herb.
And I'm Christina. And together we bring you experts